about India's independence, a few big names probably pop into your head, right? Gandhi, Nehru, Bose. But what if I told you there was this other guy, a really key figure, who was actually Gandhi's political master? Yep. Today, we're talking about Gopal Krishna Gokhale, the man who taught Gandhi. And trust me, his is a name you're going to want to remember.
Just listen to this. This is a direct quote from Mahatma Gandhi himself. Pure as crystal, gentle as a lamb, brave as a lion. I mean, wow, that's not just some nice compliment. Gandhi saw him as his personal guide, his political guru. This is the man who literally helped shape the mind of the man who would go on to shape an entire nation. So, the big question is, who was this guy? Who was Gopal Krishna Gokhale? How on earth did he earn that kind of profound respect from one of history's most iconic leaders? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so to really get a handle on Gokhale's whole political philosophy, you've got to start at the beginning. We're talking about his journey from a pretty small village all the way to the halls of power.
See, Gokhale's life was really defined by his education. He was born way back in 1866, and he was part of this first wave of Indians to get a full-blown university education in English. At Elphinstone College, he wasn't just hitting the books on math and literature. He was soaking up Western political ideas from thinkers like John Stuart Mill, and this gave him this incredibly strong belief that the best way to get to Indian self-rule wasn't some big revolution. No, it was through reason, through dialogue, and by working inside the system to change it from within.
But here's the thing. Gokhale's calm, measured approach, it definitely wasn't the only idea floating around. In fact, it kind of set the stage for one of the biggest ideological showdowns in India's history. This was a real rivalry for the future of the entire independence movement. And this slide just lays it all out crystal clear. You've got two completely different paths to freedom. On one side, there's Gokhale, the moderate. His game plan? Constitutional reform, cooperation. On the other side, his contemporary, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, the radical. His method was all about protest, boycotts, and agitation. So Gokhale is thinking, let's talk this out, while Tilak is saying we need to resist, even use force if we have to. I mean, this was way more than just a little disagreement. This was a fundamental clash over the soul of the movement. And this whole rivalry just reached a boiling point inside the Indian National Congress. Now, both of these guys were heavy hitters in the party. They even worked together as joint secretaries for a while. But those ideological cracks, they were there from the start. And they just got bigger and bigger until 1907 at the party's annual meeting in Surat. The official argument was about who should be the next president, but let's be real. This was a battle for what the movement was even going to be.
And when I say boiling point, I'm not exaggerating. This wasn't some polite political debate. The whole session just exploded into total, absolute chaos. Eyewitnesses said the place was a wreck. Broken chairs everywhere, people were literally throwing their shoes at each other. Can you imagine? The Indian National Congress, the main engine for independence, had just physically torn itself apart.
But right in the middle of all that chaos, something truly incredible happened. As a bunch of angry delegates started rushing the stage to attack Tilak, his biggest rival, remember? Gokhale ran over and stood right next to him, using his own body to shield him from the mob. Just think about that for a second. It was this stunning moment that showed that for all their political fighting, there was this deep, underlying respect. Theirs was a war of ideas, not a personal blood feud. So with the Congress Party basically in pieces, Gokhale just doubled down. He was more determined than ever to prove that his way, making change from within the system, could actually get things done for India.
And his big answer was the Servants of India Society, which he founded in 1905. See, Gokhale was smart. He knew that just being passionate wasn't going to cut it. What India really needed was a new class of educated, dedicated public servants who actually understood how government and policy worked. So the society was basically designed to create this elite team of selfless leaders who were all in on serving the country, but through constitutional means, not by picking fights.
And this super methodical approach, that's exactly how he operated in the political arena. As a legislator, Gokhale was famous, legendary, for his budget speeches. And these weren't just some emotional pleas for freedom. Oh no. They were like these surgical strikes using data and logic. He'd spend months digging through the British government's own financial reports, and then he'd get up and use their own numbers against them to show the inequalities and argue for more for Indians. His arguments were so well-reasoned, so packed with evidence, that he earned the respect of his British colleagues. And that's how he was able to play a huge role in shaping early reforms, like the Morley-Minto reforms. Which, brings us right back to where we started all this. Gokhale's relationship with his most famous fan, Mahatma Gandhi. And this is where his legacy gets really, really interesting. So Gokhale actually personally invited Gandhi to come back to India from South Africa. The hope was, that he could groom him as his successor. So the big question is, did the student actually follow in his master's footsteps? The answer, and this is an answer that would literally change the course of Indian history, was a simple but incredibly powerful no. It's fascinating, really. Gandhi revered Gokhale his entire life, but when it came down to it, he chose a totally different path. He just couldn't get on board with Gokhale's deep-seated faith in working within British institutions. He even politely turned down an invitation to join the Servants of India Society. Instead, Gandhi created something brand new, something revolutionary. He kind of blended his master's discipline and moderation with the radical energy of mass action. The result? Satyagraha, this truth force of nonviolent civil disobedience that would go on to change the entire world. And that really leaves us with this huge, timeless question about how profound change actually happens. Who's more important in the end? Is it the moderate, the institution builder like Gokhale, who painstakingly lays all the groundwork? Or is it the radical, the one who captures the hearts and minds of the people and inspires them to act? The answer is probably never that simple. But what the story of Gokhale shows us is that sometimes, to really find your own way, maybe the student needs to learn from both masters, the moderate and the radical, to create something truly new.